yourself and your family. You embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing.
So tell your mama dig her up and post a picture that look better than mama.
That was King Harris talking tough just a few short weeks ago. But now, the tables have turned. Reports are circulating that he's actually trying to get in touch with the very man he was just mocking. Word is that 50 Cent is preparing a documentary that could seriously impact the Harris family. And if there's any truth to these rumors, things are about to get incredibly messy. King might soon realize that those words he put out there are coming back to haunt him.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama. Go dig her up.
So, what's the real story here, and what is everyone still speculating about? Back in early March 2026, rumors started swirling that 50 Cent was developing a documentary, potentially titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. But even before that news broke, King Harris was already making noise, locked in a heated, public back and forth with 50. He didn't just stop at talking though. He went all out. We're talking videos, diss tracks, custom t-shirts, and even a cannabis product haul, specifically targeting 50 Cent. This wasn't just some light internet trolling. It was a coordinated campaign. To understand why things suddenly shifted from total confidence to pure panic, you have to look at exactly what King was saying and doing before the documentary rumors even surfaced. This wasn't your typical hip-hop rivalry. It got personal in a way most people in the industry try to avoid. Lines weren't just crossed. They were completely ignored.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? I am just bringing it to your attention that it is now July the 6th. And I gave you 2 days for a grace period just because I had to get my shit together. I was having a good time, but 5 mics. There's an app check for you or a paycheck for me. Thank you. You react right now. Let's see.
When 50 Cent posted an unflattering photo of King's mother, Tiny Harris, King fired back in a viral video, essentially telling 52, leave his parents out of it. That moment blew up instantly, but King didn't stop there. He went directly after 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who tragically passed away in a fire when 50 was just a child. Even while King was screaming about people not disrespecting his own mother, he was crossing a line that most people consider strictly off. That's exactly where the energy shifted. People immediately noticed the contradiction. He was defending his mother while dragging someone else's who isn't here to defend herself. That hypocrisy didn't sit well with the public, and it's the primary reason 50 decided to take things to a completely different level.
I said I wanted 50. That's what I said. He don't want no smoke though. Oh, Lord. I called my man out. He don't want no smoke. He ducking smoke. It's cool.
King even went as far as to say, tell your dead mama to dig herself up and post a picture that looks better than mine. That line alone left people stunned. But it didn't stop with words. King actually wore a t-shirt featuring Sabrina Jackson's image, and even launched a cannabis strain called Ms. Jackpack, using her likeness on the packaging. He followed that up by releasing diss tracks like Drop Top, where he rapped, "You were made from 50 cents because your mama gave it cheap." That move set the internet on fire, and the reactions were immediate and deeply divided.
Tip, but this is about another kind of tip that can help our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our fathers help get the perpetrators who commit crimes against them off the streets. All you got to do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta. Tips can be anonymous, and there's even a reward. The number to Crime Stoppers Atlanta is 404-577-8477. That's 404-577-TIP.
But the reaction wasn't split down the middle. While a handful of people saw a young man simply defending his family, the vast majority saw a 21-year-old chasing clout by attacking someone who isn't even alive to defend themselves. That perception shifted everything. 50 Cent is famous for playing the long game, and he noticed every single move King made. Every post, screenshot, and breakdown was documented and stored. Nothing was forgotten. That digital trail quickly turned into a mountain of receipts, a permanent record that couldn't be erased or talked his way out of later. So, as talk of the documentary intensified, those old clips and posts stopped being just random social media moments and became actual evidence. Now, the story practically tells itself. King simply took things too far.
How did Falant's family find out about his death?
I told him. I called his mom first, then I told his cousin. I told his little girl.
How old was his little girl?
His daughter was 4 years old at the time. Five years old at the time.
And how did you tell his daughter that her father was dead?
He's in a better place and he won't be coming back. And I told her how much he loved her.
And 50 might have found the perfect way to respond without having to say much at all. That's exactly why the idea of King wanting this documentary stopped makes total sense. But this situation didn't actually start with King. It goes much deeper than that. To really understand it, you have to go back to the beginning, before King was even old enough to be involved. This entire conflict traces back to two major hip-hop figures who rose to fame at the same time, but came from completely different worlds. In 2003, 50 Cent released Get Rich or Die Trying, telling his story of surviving 9 shots and rising out of Queens, New York. That same year, T.I. dropped Trap Music, helping define the Atlanta sound and solidifying his title as the King of the South. Both dominated their respective lanes, and both built incredibly loyal fan bases.
And how did you tell his mom that her son was gone?
Well, first I apologized. I apologized because, I felt that, all of those rounds were fired for me, in my opinion.
And both operated in an era where the rivalry between New York and the South was about more than just talk. It directly impacted record sales, radio airplay, and overall industry respect. That underlying tension didn't have to be loud to be felt. For years, things remained quiet between the two. There were no direct shots or public drama, just two heavyweights occupying the same space, maintaining a level of respect or, at the very least, neutrality. That all shifted around 2020, when the Versus battles took over during the pandemic. Created by Swizz Beatz and Timbaland, these matchups featured legends going hit for hit live online, and T.I. made it very clear that he wanted 50 Cent. T.I. pushed hard for the matchup, even comparing the potential battle to the iconic 2007 sales clash between 50's Curtis and Kanye West's Graduation.
50 Cent decided to wake up this Saturday, February 7th, on the dark side of the bed once again. And if you follow, I done spoke on that before, how I feel 50 Cent does not wake up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning. He wakes up on the dark side. And I say at least about half the month, maybe about 15 days, he gonna get it to the capital C's and go at some.
He argued that his hits, his catalog, and his overall influence could go toe-to-toe with 50 Cent any day. He brought it up constantly on podcasts, in interviews, and during live streams. He simply wouldn't let it go. But 50 kept shutting him down at every turn, making it clear he had zero interest. 50 pointed to his massive success in television, specifically with the Power franchise, suggesting he had moved far beyond music battles. To him, Versus just wasn't worth his time anymore. That rejection didn't sit well with T.I., and the way 50 delivered it only made matters worse. He didn't just say no, he made it feel like the idea wasn't even worth a conversation, implying T.I. didn't even belong in that league. For a man who built his legacy as a leader in Southern rap, that kind of dismissal felt incredibly personal. I didn't see it as indifference, he saw it as a lack of respect. Because of that, the tension remained. Never quite exploding, but always simmering through small exchanges and subtle shots.
Post a picture of your mama. She pay respect. Stop playing with my mama.
Then February 2026 arrived, and the entire dynamic shifted. T.I. appeared on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast and made a bold accusation, claiming that 50 Cent was actually scared. He alleged there had been private discussions where 50 initially agreed to a Versus battle, only to publicly back out later. Just like that, the quiet tension erupted into a much louder conflict. T.I. followed up with a diss track titled Let Him Know, and he didn't hold back. He even filmed the music video right in New York City, 50 Cent's own backyard, which sent a massive message on its own. The lyrics took direct aim at 50's age, his transition into acting, and what T.I. described as cracks in 50's legendary tough guy persona. However, 50 didn't respond with a song. Instead, he took a different approach and dropped a resurfaced clip from a 2003 legal situation involving T.I.
You and 50 got a beef or something, man? Because I seen a post today where they were saying that you were supposed to be in I guess one of the Power, what's the name? I guess 2 of the actors on the show said that you were actually supposed to be on the show, and then they replaced you with Method Man, and they weren't expecting it or something.
No,
like
that's not true. 50 and I, we were executive producers on a different show outside of the Power universe. But nah, man, me and 50 cool. We just...
The clip suggested cooperation with law enforcement, and just like that, 50 Cent applied a label that carries massive weight in hip-hop: snitch. That word is more than just an insult. It calls into question a person's entire credibility, their image, and their life story. With one calculated move, 50 completely flipped the script. This was no longer about who had more hits or better albums. It became a direct attack on T.I.'s character. That moment changed everything. From there, the situation spiraled into something much larger. Family members were pulled into the fray, diss tracks multiplied, and boundaries were completely ignored until talk of a documentary finally entered the picture. It all traces back to that specific shift where the focus moved from music to reputation. Once it reached that point, there was no turning back. This wasn't a friendly competition anymore. It had turned into a battle over who could leave the deepest mark. This is also where the playing field became uneven. While T.I. had his musical legacy and respect, 50 Cent had massive media power and a full production machine behind him. That advantage would prove to matter more than anything else moving forward.
I'm the only one who's not offended by his brass approach, and he's not offended by mine. So, you know, we play rough, but ain't no issue. It's a mutual respect.
While T.I. was responding through music, 50 Cent had the power to shape the narrative on a much larger scale. This imbalance set the tone for everything that followed, making every move from the Harris family's side significantly riskier. The first person from T.I.'s family to jump headfirst into the conflict, without really considering the consequences, was his son, King Harris. Once King got involved, the situation escalated rapidly. It was no longer just a feud between two artists. It transformed into a full-scale family drama playing out in front of a global audience. Every post, clip, and reaction happened in real time across social media for everyone to witness. Born on August 25, 2004, King Harris had spent his entire life growing up in the spotlight.
I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna tell law-abiding citizens not to call the police.
Right.
So I can, not be of benefit to a downward departure. Not gonna do that.
Right.
Because you know why? Law-abiding citizens are gonna call the police anyway.
Yeah.
That's their right.
You're right.
And guess what? Streets were never gonna not snitch. Or excuse me, they were never gonna not keep it silent because they seen me on a...
He was a staple on the VH1 reality series T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle, which ran for years and provided the public with an intimate look at their home life. By the time this conflict reached its peak, King was 21, old enough to stand on his own feet, but still young enough to let emotion drive his actions rather than strategy. He had already built a reputation for being outspoken, particularly due to moments on the show where he openly challenged his parents during intense arguments. That same boldness followed him straight into this feud. The exact moment King was pulled into the situation was unmistakable. During one of his exchanges with T.I., 50 Cent posted an unflattering photo of Tiny Harris on Instagram. That move immediately turned things personal. Targeting someone's partner, especially in front of a massive global audience, shifted the tone entirely. The Harris family wasn't about to stay silent. King and his older brother Damani both stepped up immediately. However, their approaches couldn't have been more different. While Damani showed some restraint, King came in loud, emotional, and relentless. His video targeting 50 Cent's late mother went viral within hours. The message was aggressive and repeated constantly, ensuring it landed exactly how he intended. It certainly grabbed everyone's attention, but not in the way that builds positive momentum. Instead, it created massive pressure and put a spotlight on him for all the wrong reasons. Rather than backing down, King doubled down. The t-shirts, the cannabis line, and the diss tracks just kept coming. In total, the Harris camp released about 6 diss tracks aimed at 50 Cent. King's tracks, including Drop Top, took direct shots at 50's personal history. Damani contributed his own verses, while T.I. also released multiple tracks. Emphasizing his legendary catalog and mocking 50's transition into TV and film, T.I. even addressed the situation in interviews, offering a conflicted perspective. He admitted he wasn't happy seeing his sons caught up in such negativity, yet he simultaneously respected their loyalty. He summed his feelings up by stating, "Nah, my kids ride now," making it clear they were simply standing up for their family. That kind of sentiment resonates deeply in hip-hop culture, where loyalty is considered everything. The underlying support for King's actions actually backfired, alienating the audience instead of drawing them in. This is where the real problem surfaced. It wasn't just about his intensity, it was about a lack of control. King was navigating a situation that demanded strategic moves and patience, yet he chose to escalate at every turn. Between the videos, the products, and the diss tracks, he was fueling the fire without gaining any real leverage. The biggest issue was that 50 Cent didn't even have to lift a finger. King's own behavior was doing the heavy lifting for him. With every post, King appeared more erratic, making any potential retaliation from 50 Cent seem completely justified to the public. That power imbalance only intensified as time went on. When the backlash arrived, it was swift and loud. The consensus was clear. King crossed a major line by mocking the deceased. Regardless of how the feud started, the public viewed that as a massive foul compared to targeting someone who can actually defend themselves. The age gap only made it look worse. You have King, at just 21, trying to go toe-to-toe with a 50-year-old media mogul who has been mastering this game for decades. Meanwhile, 50 Cent barely even touched the mic to respond. Instead, he stuck to memes and sharp captions, dropping lines like, "Lol, they are going to learn to leave me alone." The contrast was impossible to miss. While the Harris camp was relentlessly pushing out content, 50 stayed calm and calculated, letting the tension simmer. That silence wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy. 50 has a long history of doing this, letting his opponents talk themselves into a corner before hitting back with something they can't compete with. This time, the retaliation wasn't going to be a song. It was something much more massive, a documentary. If a diss track is a shot fired in a rap battle, a documentary is a total takeover. By early March 2026, rumors began circulating about a project titled Surviving T and Tiny. The title alone sparked massive conversation. Echoing the Surviving R. Kelly series that fundamentally shifted public perception, this didn't look like mere entertainment. It felt like a serious 50 even fueled the speculation himself in a since-deleted post, hinting, "Remember how quiet I got before the last documentary? I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're going to ask about your 20 sexual assault cases." That single line made the direction of this conflict crystal clear. The allegations 50 Cent is referencing date back to 2021, when several women accused T.I. and Tiny of serious misconduct. While lawsuits followed, many were eventually dismissed on legal technicalities, and there have been no convictions to date. T.I. and Tiny have consistently denied the claims, maintaining that any encounters were entirely consensual. However, a documentary doesn't require a conviction to be effective, it just needs a compelling story. When allegations are packaged into a polished, emotional narrative, it can completely redefine public perception. 50 Cent has the platform and the tools to do exactly that, and the fallout could be massive. T.I. has built a brand that goes far beyond music, spanning business, community work, and a specific public image. A project like this could jeopardize everything, from his corporate deals and partnerships to his overall legacy. King wouldn't be immune to the fallout either. Since his career is so closely tied to the family name, any hit to that reputation follows him directly. Labels might hesitate, collaborators could pull back, and opportunities may start to dry up. Here's the real twist. Everything King did to defend his family might have actually made matters worse. Every video, lyric, and product he put out just adds more material to the narrative clips that can easily be flipped and used against them. What started as a defense could end up being the very thing that sinks the family's standing. Reports suggest T.I. was deeply shaken by the escalating situation, while others portray King as someone who dove into a conflict far bigger than he anticipated. Whether or not King actually tried to reach out to 50 Cent privately remains unconfirmed. But it wouldn't be surprising. This has moved well beyond music into much heavier territory. Recently, there's been a noticeable shift. King, who was front and center during the height of the drama, has gone quiet. The diss tracks have slowed down, and the loud public moves have faded. It's unclear if this is due to legal advice, family pressure, or just a reality check. But the change in energy is obvious. T.I., on the other hand, isn't backing down. He's met the documentary rumors with total confidence, even challenging 50 Cent to a doc-4-doc showdown. This might mean he's genuinely or he's simply maintaining a strong public front to control the narrative. Either way, this conflict has moved far beyond music. It's now a battle over image, power, and who ultimately owns the story. What a seasoned veteran can handle with decades of experience is a completely different beast for a 21-year-old still finding his footing. Just weeks ago, King was loud, confident, and in full attack mode, clearly believing the Harris name was bulletproof against anything 50 Cent could throw his way. But the reality is that diss tracks and documentaries carry different weights. A diss track burns hot for a few days and then fades, while a documentary sticks around. It's streamed, shared, and debated for years. That is a massive level of impact. King entered this ready for a direct clash, but it turned into a media war against someone who literally builds media empires. Online reactions are split. Some are praising 50 Cent for his patience and strategic checkmate move with the documentary. Others see an unfair imbalance, questioning a 50-year-old mogul with massive resources going head-to-head with a 21-year-old still building his platform. The gap in age, influence, and reach is impossible to ignore. Beyond this specific feud, there's a larger conversation happening in hip-hop. The culture has always respected boldness and standing your ground, but the rules have changed. Today's top figures aren't just artists, they are brands and media forces. A documentary can reshape your entire reputation for years, and that's the environment King stepped into. He was playing by one set of rules, while 50 was operating on a completely different level. From a strategic standpoint, if this documentary is real, it's about more than just a feud for 50 Cent. It creates buzz, keeps him trending, and reinforces his reputation as someone you don't cross. At this point, even the rumor of the project has shifted the power dynamic. That's true leverage when you don't even have to act for people to react. For King, this might be the ultimate lesson. In this industry, it's not about who talks the loudest. It's about horns and a history of turning conflicts into major cultural moments. If the reports of King stepping back are true, it's not a sign of weakness, it's awareness. It means he finally realized the scale of the situation. The only question remains, Did that realization come too late? If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video so more people can stay informed on what's really going on. Has the most leverage. King had the energy and the words, but 50 has the platform.